my name is Lynn, and I'm doing the presentation Queer Creatures of the Night. You might be asking yourselves, what are your credentials? How do you know all of this? This is my college major. I just graduated. I'm currently going into a master's program, but I mastered in English and history with a focus in Victorian occultism, which is a fancy word of saying vampires. I was very into vampires and ghosts, and I decided that was what I was going to spend my parents' $40,000 on.
Yeah.
Woo! So, that's my credential. And then I'm also getting a master's in library science currently to do archival stuff, you know, to save the books.
Yeah.
Yay! Listen, they can't burn the Library of Alexandria down a second time. Anyways, my thesis statement for this presentation, you can pretend like it's on the slide and there's like a cool whoosh, 2 vampire PNGs fly across the screen as it says, thesis statement, vampires are inherently queer due to their association with queerness throughout history.
Yeah.
Yay. This is actually a thing. This is actually like a traceable thing. So the origins of vampires, you can pretend like there's a slide that says origins of vampires right here. So the origins of vampires, of course, start where all horrors of the night begin, which is the fear of death and the unknown. We as humans, there's so much we don't know. Middle Ages, even less that we know. There's so many threats to humanity that we cannot comprehend. The miasmas are in the air. And there's also a fear of death not being permanent. What is beyond the veil? Can you come back? Can things come back? Will things come back?
Should they come back?
Should they come back? Maybe. But also, in a more tangible way, vampires find their origins in the threats of disease. And so there are a couple of, famous diseases that will be cited as being related to vampires. The Black Plague, syphilis, it's raging through the nobility. That's right. I see your eyes. You go, what's syphilis? Syphilis ran through the noble families, that's why a bunch of them went crazy. And so it's this thought of inherent corruption running through the bloodline. Consumption, also known as tuberculosis. Of course, the consumption, the whitening of the face, the blood, the pallor, the wasting away, the consumption, to be consumed by the consumption. And some might not know this, but rabies. Rabies is actually one of the origins of vampirism.
That's why vampires are afraid of running water.
Yes, because when you get rabies, your body starts reacting and has this reflexive. But also, once again, something is in the blood. Something is hiding in the blood. You can get rabies through contact, through biting. You're bitten by something or someone. Suddenly, you are now contaminated, and you're afraid of water, and they don't know what's happened to you. You're gonna die. But on a more fundamental level, the vampire is not just a physical thing, it is an emotional thing. And so we are afraid of disability. There's something that is believed to be, debilitating. Well, is debilitating. Disability is debilitating. But there's also the process of decomposition. Oh, thank you so much. Yay! Say thank you for our technical support. We also don't understand decomposition. And so oftentimes when vampires are quote unquote found, so Uncle Joey has perished the thought. We've buried him, it's a cold winter, we dig him up. He's still pretty fresh looking. And the nieces and nephews have started dying. Surely Uncle Joey must be a vampire who's been eating the nieces and nephews. And surely this has nothing to do with the fact that it's been a harsh winter. Yes. But of course, we need to find a reason for everything. And we'll find a reason for everything. And it being vampires. Vampirism is also very, very, very heavily tied to sexual indecency. And so one of the origins of vampires is the succubus. So a spirit that comes to you in the night and drains your vitality by giving you sexy dreams. And if you have too many visits by the succubus, she's going to eat you alive. And so that culminates into the vampire and also the undead. And also, xenophobia. Anybody heard of Elizabeth Bathory? Yes. She wasn't a vampire. She wasn't a vampire. She didn't eat virgins. That was a lie made up by... Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Another round of applause. Sexual impurity, physical impurity, spiritual impurity, class disparities. We're talking about peasants versus nobility. If you look at a lot of vampire stories, it's a lot of nobles eating a lot of peasants. They're eating the middle class. Timely. So the rich eating the poor. Also, xenophobia, you're distrusting other cultures. As I was saying about Elizabeth Bathory, she did not eat virgins. Once again, she was not kidnapping local women and eating them. She was in fact performing bloodletting on her servants, because guess what? That was the medical practice her family was trained in.
Yeah.
She was trying to perform medical rituals on her ladies. And the xenophobia of the working class, because she was a noble who married into another family, yada yada yada. You know the story. Decided she's eating them. She's eating all those girls, we gotta kill her. She did not sacrifice people. Blood libel, of course. You know what blood libel is? It's the idea that Jewish people eat little Christian babies. And so that mixed with vampires, you will get that a lot. There's a lot of descriptions of vampires that will sound hauntingly familiar. And of course, fears of the rural classes. Once again, with the Elizabeth Bathory thing. Cross-national traditions. Let's stop in a very fun place. Homophobia in the English-speaking world. Anybody, just a show of hands, does anybody know who Edward II of Galveston is? Yes, perfect, amazing. So, little history. Love a history moment. Love Derek Jarman's adaptation of Edward II with Tilda Swinton. You should watch it, it's so good. It's crazy. Anyways, homophobia. Where did we get homophobia? Guess what? It's the Buggery Act of 1533 in England. If you have sex with a man, and you're a man, or any sort of like sex that isn't missionary, you're gonna die. It's a capital offense, baby. But very clear distinction. It was a religious law. It was not a law until the Buggery Act. And also nobody really prosecuted it. So the reign of Edward II. So here he is, oh my god, Edward II and his close friend Galveston. So Edward II, 1307 to 1327, he got executed because his son overthrew him, because he was gay. Well, not because he was gay specifically, but because he fell in love with Galveston. Oh my gosh, look at them conversing together. And he gave him a bunch of land and titles and power, and everyone was like, you shouldn't do that. And he was like, ha 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 ha. So there is a legend about Edward II's execution. Does anybody know it?
I don't know if this is Alexander the Great or Edward II. It might have been some Russian ruler, but
One of them.
some ruler had a male lover, and they were forced to watch the male lover get executed. As they watched, they had their head pressed against the bars and watched them do it.
I believe that was, I'm forgetting his name, he played the flute. He played the flute. He was, God.
Oh God, I know who you're talking about. And I
Yes,
know his name.
yes, because you know it's from a very specific fandom. No, Edward II was allegedly executed by having a red hot iron shoved where the sun don't shine. This is not proven. He might have been drawn and quartered, but that is the legend because of his love of Galveston. So as a result, they're like, surely that had nothing to do with political corruption. That had everything to do with being gay. Because there's one thing about being gay when you're nobility, which is if you're having an affair with a woman, all you can give her is a child. But if you keep having if you keep having an affair with a man, you can give him something. You can give him land, you can give him a title, you can give him power. That's dangerous. Lands. Also transphobia, but we don't have time for that. Boy, oh boy. Oh, you might. Our next stop. Yes! Yes! You know him, you love him, you hate him. Cultural icon. Lord Byron. He became very famous because he wrote a book called The Child's Herald Pilgrimage. Has anybody read that book? Don't. It's great. But, Lord Byron ruined an entire generation of young men. Like, every young man wanted to be Lord Byron because he wrote about how sad he was and how his parents didn't love him, but he was so cool and hot. He was sleeping with
Jesse with Ryan Gosling?
Yes!
The reason why we still call him Byronic.
Yes! The Byronic hero. And he's a leader of romanticism. He's also a sex pest. Notoriously bisexual. Men, women, anyone. Anyone who breathed or moved, it was on sight. He kept getting kicked out of places, actually, because he kept having sex with people's wives. Because people kept reading The Child's Herald's Pilgrimage, and there were no other good books, and so every woman is like, wow, this is my number one. He was the early pioneer of the sex scandal, in the way that he kept having sex scandals. The way that we came up with the sex scandal, as we know it, of guy who is a public figure who keeps having weird sex, is him. That is the origin story of that. His notable affairs: Claire Claremont, the stepsister of Mary Shelley.
Oh,
We'll get to that. Oh boy, will we get to that. Allegedly Percy Shelley. Allegedly Percy Shelley. Listen, you only take so many swims in the river before, Mary gets a little nervous. And then Caroline Lamb, who's our most important. Here she is. Oh my God, she's so beautiful. She's so pretty. She was one of the women who he had sex with. And then he broke her heart. And she and her ladies in waiting, because, nobility, built a bonfire of all of his things and danced around it. And put a curse on him. They cursed him, allegedly. They might have, because he died pretty soon afterwards. But she wrote a book about it. She wrote a book about this, lord who's traveling and keeps having sex with people, and he's mean and evil. And his name is Lord Ruthven. So, we get to Lord Byron and the vampire. And you might be like, what is the vampire? Why did you spell it that way? This is the first sexy vampire book. And Lord Byron wrote it. Just kidding. His boyfriend did! About him. So, this is John William Polidori. And John William Polidori, if you remember the beautiful Year Without Summer, where they wrote Frankenstein, he was on that trip. It was Claire Claremont, Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, and John William Polidori. He was, in fact, his boyfriend / drug dealer.
oh shit.
Yep, his personal drug dealer.
That's healthy.
Oh!
Loved him.
And so he, goes to this trip on the Year Without Summer, and they're like, let's all write stories. And John William Polidori, because he's petty as hell, decides to write one about Lord Byron to try to win the competition. Spoilers, he lost the competition, Frankenstein won. But he decides, let's publish this, baby! Being a doctor sucks! Does not get picked up. He dies.
Oh.
He was up against Frankenstein.
He was up against Frankenstein, and then he was a fine writer. It wasn't great. But anyways, he writes the first sexy vampire story because he parodies Lord Byron, and more importantly, he parodies Lady Caroline Lamb's story about Lord Ruthven. And he writes The Vampire. That's so many words. There's so many words. Basically, young men befriend a lord. He's like, hey, you should meet my fiance. He eats the fiance. Hey, you should eat my sister. He eats the sister. He's a vampire, and he's going through young women, like Lord Byron. So, why is this important? Cultural impacts. It's the first sexy vampire. It's a satire on Lord Byron, so we're getting some bisexual satire. It's the rise of queerness, baby.
Amen.
It's a gothic novella, and I love it. And it's marketed for hot vampires. We'll get more hot vampires, but this is kind of the first hot vampire. And it's a commentary on men and how promiscuous they are, and the fact that vampirism is used as a metaphor for sexual promiscuity and running through women. How is it queer, you might ask? He's only having sex with women. Everything involving bisexuals is inherently queer.
Yup.
You cannot rob. Just because they're not having sex with men does not mean they're not bisexual.
Amen.
Yay! And it's a parody. It's written for a bisexual, by a bisexual, about a bisexual.
We love you, bisexuals.
And so it'll be the groundwork for our vampires to come.
It looks like a bisexual, it smells like a bisexual.
It is a bisexual, of course!
Bisexual.
Oh, you know who
And
did
so
it?
this is an average encounter with Lord Byron, of course. Be careful.
That's so funny.
Listen, he's mad, bad, and dangerous to know. And of course, what about women? You're not talking a lot about women. I am. A lot of vampires are WLW, or woo-woo-woo. Yay! So, where does this come from? Women should never have sex. Female sexuality is inherently scary because men don't understand it and can't control it. Listen, it's the idea that women cannot desire sex, but must desire sex, but they can't have sex, but they must know everything about sex, but be perfect and clean and pure. Amazing! So we're worrying about virginity and purity, and also the feminine horror. Being a woman is inherently horrific. It's terrible. But we're reclaiming the self in the feminine horror. So when we're talking about vampires, we're also including menstruation and ideas of, the cycle. The cycle in the blood. Listen, Fleabag put it best. I don't remember the quote. And of course, unfortunately, you're also talking about the sexualization of lesbian relationships in a heterosexual world. Nothing is hotter than two women together, unfortunately, and it's the rise of WLW erotica. And also villainizing queer women as threats. Because, she's taking a woman away from the men. Ooh. And of course, we're getting lesbianism. Oh my God, that's a lot of words. Oh my God, you want that copy? I really want that copy. My copy has weird annotations, but that's neither here nor there. So Carmilla is actually a second in a series. The first one's unimportant. Green tea, unimportant, unless you care about very specifically monkey hallucinations.
That sounds fun.
It is fun. It's really tragic. Green tea is actually kind of a tragic story, but it kicks off this series of stories following Dr. Hazelius as he recounts cases of supernatural. And of course, Carmilla is his second case. Laura, she's got no friends. Suddenly a friend comes into the world. It's Carmilla, baby. And Carmilla is beautiful. She's mysterious. No one knows who she is. Laura keeps waking up in the middle of the night with bite marks on her boobs and goes, "Oh, Carmilla, what happened?" And Carmilla's standing in the dark covered in blood like, "Don't worry about it, baby girl." Eventually, they figure out that Carmilla is not Carmilla, but in fact the Countess Mircalla Karnstein. And they kill her, behead her, and then Laura never gets married. I don't know what that means. I mean nothing. Don't worry about that. And so you might be like, why is this important? You all know this is important. I'm not even going to play. Sorry, I'm pulling up a quote on my phone because I need to read this out in its full entirety. How is it queer? How is it queer? Oh my God, what is it? This is a quote from Carmilla. word for word. And you asked for the picture you think like me to hang in your room, she murmured with a sigh, as she drew her arm closer around my waist and let her pretty head sink upon my shoulder. How romantic you are, Carmilla, I said. Wherever you tell me your story, it will be made chiefly of the most great romances. She kissed me silently. I am sure, Carmilla, you have been in love, that there is, at this moment, an affair of the heart going on. I have never been in love with no one, and never shall, she whispered, unless it should be with you. How beautiful she looked in the moonlight. Shy and strange was the look with which she quickly hid her face in my neck and hair. With tumultuous sighs, she seemed almost to sob, and pressed in mine a hand that trembled. Her soft cheeks were glowing against mine. Darling, darling, she murmured, I live in you, and you would die for me. I love you so. Straight, totally straight encounter. Female friendship. They were roommates. Sure, this means nothing. But of course, cultural impacts. Carmilla invents the biting on the chest that Bram Stoker will inevitably say, that's too intimate, that's too crazy. We're also getting Dracula's inspiration and the early lesbian gothic. But we also get some very interesting vampire lore introduced. The idea of the undead vengeance vampire. Carmilla doesn't have a sire. She was spawned. She was spawned by crime. Something bad happened. They never clarify. Something bad happened, and now Carmilla exists to torment people. Of course, the romance between the victim of the vampire, that isn't just like, Lord Ruthven running through everybody that this narrator knows, but actual true romance. Gay marriage? Are they gay married? Did Carmilla propose to Laura in the novel? Yes. And also, Carmilla is able to drink non-blood beverages. Her favorite drink is hot chocolate.
That's so cute.
It's so cute. She drinks it with Laura. It is so cutesy. I can't believe she died. Is it good queer representation? Oh, well. It's a canonical queer relationship. But it is for men. It is written by a man about, how sexy it is that young women fall in love with each other. But it has been adapted by queer people. I've heard that there's a Carmilla web series. But that's neither here nor there. It's my own personal thing. Carmilla is implied to be a woman of color in the novella, and no adaptation has ever really taken that into account. Again, xenophobia.
Tomato.
Tomato. Xenophobia in vampirism. As you can see, look at Laura. She's so blonde and perfect and amazing. And then Carmilla has dark hair, dark eyes, dark skin. Wonder what that means. Could be nothing.
I mean, given the reputation of the book and that they couldn't figure it out, that it was a lesbian relationship, I don't think they would have figured out the other stuff either.
Oh no, there's some crazy stuff. I'm leaving it out. But there's some crazy stuff that happens. Carmilla's on a horrific carriage accident where she gets flipped out of the carriage. That's her origin. That's how she's introduced into the story. Laura's standing outside on the front porch going, man, I wish I had a friend. And the carriage comes barreling down and hits a tree and flips over. And Carmilla stumbles out. The origin of the disaster lesbian. But anyways, we're going to talk about something a little sad. We're going to talk about the Oscar Wilde trials. As you know, do people know about who Oscar Wilde is? Show of hands, everybody knows who Oscar Wilde is? Okay, so long story short, cultural icon, he wrote a bunch of plays. He wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray. Love The Picture of Dorian Gray. Well. Anyways, he was gay. And so one of his lovers, named Bosie Douglas, his dad found out and decided to leave Oscar Wilde a calling card at a club that they were both part of, saying, for Oscar Wilde, posing sodomite. Now, you know, Oscar Wilde, it's illegal. It is a crime. As we've established, the Buggery Act, still in play. It's no longer a capital offense, but it's still a big crime. And so Oscar Wilde, you know, he's a cultural figure. He's teaching, he has a wife and children. He should really let this go. Boozy Douglas says, no, my dad insulted you. You should fight him in court. Sue him. Sue my dad for my love. Sue my dad. Let's do a libel case, baby. And so it's a major insult. And so they did the libel case. And so, as you know, libel means it has to be untrue, but it's true. Oscar Wilde is gay. And so he's trying to fight the truth. And he fights in a very Oscar Wilde way, where he's like making a show of it. There's many flourishes of like, oh, I'm Oscar Wilde, I'm a cultural figure, I'm gonna talk in circles. But they did prove that he was gay. Like, he was gay. But, you know, they've just proven he's done a crime. So they're doing another trial. He's being charged with gross indecency. And so they parade all of these people out. They bring out his, like, reading materials. They bring out picture of Dorian Gray. They read passages. It's very, very hard. He is charged with a crime. He's incarcerated and forced to do hard labor. It is only 2 years, but it does inevitably kill him in 1900. He never sees his wife again. His wife dies in an accident following a hip surgery. He never sees his children again. Boozy Douglas marries a woman and never talks about it again. It's this tragic moment. It's very, very sad. Boozy Douglas would visit Oscar Wilde as he was dying and basically stand over him and be like, I'm gonna leave you. Like, he would abandon him in hotels. It was terrible. But anyways, Oscar Wilde, as we've established, is a cultural figure. And what happens with a cultural figure who has like a very close-knit circle of like aestheticists and writers gets, you know, exposed? His circle gets exposed. Bram Stoker, do people know who Bram Stoker is?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course. Everybody knows who Bram Stoker is. He wrote Dracula. This is the happiest he ever looks in a photo. So he wrote Bram Stoker. Oh my God, he wrote Dracula. He's a born and bred Dubliner. At some point, during one of the many Russian revolutions, some of the crown jewels end up in Ireland in his family's cupboard because his father has ties to, like, you know, diplomacy or whatever. That's not important. And then his mom stabbed a woman to death. Oh, no. And so, oh my gosh, she studied English and history? Oh my God, I wonder if it's like somebody here. And then for his job, he was a personal assistant of Lord Henry Irving, and he also ran a theater. That name means nothing to anybody because no one was born in the 1800s. But Lord Henry Irving was like, I'm trying to think of like,
What did he do?
he was like a very famous actor, and he would like travel around, and he was like this like very seasoned veteran of the theater, and kept having affairs with people's wives. And Bram Stoker kept covering them up because he might have been in love with him. But guess what? Dracula comes out a year after the Wilde trials to the day. I wonder what happened. So Bram Stoker was actually friends with Oscar Wilde in college. They were family friends. Bram Stoker considered the Wildes to be his second family. And so when Oscar went to jail, Bram was like, oh my God, they're gonna out me, this is gonna be terrible. I'm going to denounce the family and bad talk them and like shit talk them to the world. I've always hated them. Oscar's a pervert. His mother's crazy. I don't know why I ever trusted him. He seduced me. And then privately, he's like, why am I doing this? This is my mother. This is my second mother. This is like my family. Why am I doing this? But what he was really afraid of is that he was going to be found out. for a little thing called the Oscar, no, not the Oscar Wilde, I'm reading a slide, the Bram Stoker Walt Whitman letter. When not Oscar Wilde, oh my God, he's infecting me! he's infecting me, I've got it on the brain. Oh, it's terrible. But when Bram Stoker was in college, he became obsessed with a little-known writer named Walt Whitman. And so, in this obsession, he read Walt Whitman's books, and if you know Walt Whitman, you know that he was the most open you could be about being gay at the time. Like, there's very little, he didn't say it because he didn't have the words, because, like, you know, theory or whatever. But, you know, he's pretty much openly gay. He's in America, and Bram Stoker writes him a letter. I'm not going to read the whole letter, it's about 20 minutes long. But he writes a letter, and he hides it in his top shelf drawer in his cupboard for 3 years, and then he starts drafting it again. You can burn this now and test yourself, and all I will ask for the trouble of writing this letter, which for all I can tell you may light your pipe with or apply some ignoble purpose, is that you will in some manner let me know that my words have tested your patience. Put in the fire if you like, but if you do, you will miss the pleasure of the next sentence, which ought to be that you have conquered an unworthy impulse. A man who is of certain strength might try to encourage himself a piece of bravado, but a man who can write, as you have written, most candid words that have ever fell upon the lips of a mortal person, a man whose candor, Rousseau's confessions, is reticence, can have no fear for his own strength. If you have gone this far, you may read the letter, and I feel in writing now that I am talking to you. If I were before your face, I would like to shake hands with you, for I fear that I would like you. I would like to call you comrade and to talk to you as men who are not poets not often do. I think that at first a man would be ashamed, for a man cannot for a moment break the habit of comparative reticence that has become second nature to him. But I know I would not long to be ashamed to be natural before you. You are a true man, and I would like to be one myself. So I'd like towards you a brother as a pupil to his master. In this age, no man becomes worthy of his name without an effort. You have shaken off the shackles, and your wings are free. I have the shackles on my shoulders still, but I have no wings.
Wow.
He's 21 when he writes this.
Oh my God.
He's 21 when he writes this to Walt Whitman. He sends this letter to Walt Whitman across the sea, not believing in anything, until January 6, 1876. Bram Stoker, my dear young man, your letters have become most welcome to me. Welcome to me as a person and then an author. I don't know which most. You did so well to write to me so unconventionally, so fresh, so manly, and so affectionately too. I too hope, though it is not probable, that we will someday personally meet each other. Meantime, I send my friendship and thanks. Lord Dowland, who is a publisher that the two of them both know, Lord Dowland's letter containing, among others, your subscription for your copy of my new edition has just been received. I shall send the book very soon by express in a package to his address. I have just written to Edward Dowland. My physique is entirely shattered, doubtless permanently, from paralysis and other ailments. But I am up and dressed and get out every day a little, live here quite lonesome but heartily, in good spirits. Write to me again, Walt Whitman. Yeah! This is the entire, center of my, academic focus is just this interaction where Bram Stoker basically says, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. Please help me come out. How do I do this? I'm so scared. And Walt Whitman says, it's okay. I believe in you. Thank you for being vulnerable with me. They never get that hangout. They will never get that hangout. Bram Stoker lives in terror of this letter being found for the rest of his life. He's terrified of this. It is not found until, I believe, 2007. When it was published in the Bram Stoker biography, which I highly recommend, Something in the Blood, by David Scull.
So how did they get access to it in 2007?
Dublin had it. Trinity Dublin had it.
They were just hiding it?
It was just in the archives. Well, so this is actually part of my, I'm getting a master's in this. No, you unlocked my secret puzzle. You unlocked my secret puzzle. So it's actually a myth that everything is cataloged and categorized. We are still discovering things in archives to this day. Not everything is written down. Like, organization systems change all the time. We just found a new Dracula chapter last year.
What?
Yeah, we're still finding new Dracula. There's more Dracula. Yes, of course.
Didn't like a new Mozart piece? Wasn't a new Mozart piece found in 2024?
Yes.
So doesn't that mean that Mozart made music during our lifetime, in a sense?
In a way, if we want to count it that way. But yes, archives. So this is people should get a library science master's. Everyone should always get a library science master's, always, all of the time. It's such a great idea, and it's not going to be, a horrible field. Anyways, but archives, and also, it's a myth that everything is digitized. We're 80% of the stuff not digitized. Congratulations, you're going to find it in the archives. I did an entire project on this. I discovered a burnt building on my college campus.
Whoa.
The whole building?
So there was an arson. There was the arsons of '67, where they burned down 5 buildings. I've never caught the guy. I'm not gonna solve it. I'm delivering presentations on vampires. I'm not gonna solve this mystery. This is not my job.
Vampire version of Mozart.
What's a vampire version of Mozart? Probably Powers of Darkness. But anyways, oh my god, why does this gag never... You never get away from the sound of a woman that loves you. Bram Stoker and Oscar Wilde. It's unclear whether or not Oscar Wilde and Bram Stoker were intimate together. They might have been. I can't prove it. But it is proven that Oscar Wilde did get to Walt Whitman first. If you know about the fact that Oscar Wilde went to visit Walt Whitman in the United States, went to his house. Neither of them were seen for 3 days, and then Oscar Wilde walked out. 3 days! 3 days!
Did he have a limit?
Well, this is not an Oscar Wilde, Walt Whitman sex panel. But trust me, it is a debate.
Wasn't Walt Whitman born like 1902?
What?
What year was Walt Whitman?
Walt Whitman was born. Walt Whitman started in the Civil War.
Sorry, what year was Walt Whitman?
18 something. Let me Google this. Hang on. Let's do this.
1819.
You have no
We're never gonna fight. Oh my god.
1819.
1819, thank you. Anyways, my gag didn't work. My gag never works. I want you to know this is the 3rd time I've done this presentation, and the gag has not worked any of the 3 times I've done it. Yeah, I want him to slide in as I say you never get away from the sound of a woman that loves you, but it never does. So I'm always looking at it like, oh my god, the gag's not gonna work, and then it slides in and I, fuck up a bit. Oh my god, there's so many words! There's so many words. Do people know the plot of Dracula? Yes. Do people know the actual plot of Dracula, or are you telling me that you know the plot of Dracula because you've seen the movies?
I read it.
You read it?
I listened to the audiobook.
You listened to the audiobook. Which version of the audiobook?
I don't remember. It was whichever one my library app had.
It's true. There's so many of them. I'm technically doing a Dracula audiobook version with a couple of my friends because it's so much fun. Oh my god, I'm making them read Dracula in real time. It's terrible. Everyone should subscribe to Dracula Daily all the time. Anyways, Dracula. So the basic plot lawyer Jonathan Harker goes to Transylvania to make a deal with oh my god, he's a count.
Yeah.
Count Dracula. And Count Dracula says, this is great. I'm gonna become the King of England. And so he traps Jonathan Harker, and then Jonathan Harker's awesome, sexy girlfriend decides that she wants to solve vampirism accidentally. Because her best friend / girlfriend gets eaten by the vampires. And so they go on this whole journey that involves train routes. Yes. Oh my god. There's an entire section of Dracula that's just dedicated to how train tables work. Because there's a reason for this. Because the reading population is semi-familiar with trains, but they wouldn't really understand. It's like train timetables in like the same way. So they have to like explain it. Same way they have to explain blood transfusions without understanding blood types.
Yeah. The whole book really is like a showcase of modern technology.
It really is. You know, they really do leave out the fact that Coca-Cola came out 2 years before Dracula did. Even though
Nintendo had already been founded.
Nintendo had already been founded. You know,
Yeah, cards.
they were selling cards. The fax machine, they could have faxed something.
You want to play Nintendo at my house?
But they do depict Dracula. And they do, in fact, accident. The only American dies.
And he's the best.
He's the best. Oh my gosh. You've discovered another one of my little secrets. Fun fact, I've read Dracula twice. And every year I consistently get into fights with people on a specific day of the year about Dracula because of Dracula Daily. Because people forget that Quincy P. Morris, who is the only American, is canonically black. He's canonically black. Like they say that. They say that he's black, and then it's never brought up again. He's treated as an equal the entire time. No one questions it, and no adaptation takes that into account. He's always white, and it makes me so mad. He's always blonde. He's always blonde and blue-eyed, and I'm like, that's not him. That's not my Quincy.
No, not that guy.
Hashtag not my Quincy.
There we go.
It's like, and I get into fights with people every single year during the Quincy Morris introduction because they're like, you're lying, and then I cite the source. Because that he's described as tall and dark and then beautiful like Othello. Which could mean nothing. But this is like my big Dracula gripe is that like people are like, oh, adaptations are so good. I'm like, there's never been one. There's never been one that acknowledges the fact that Bram Stoker hates the Romani but loves black people.
Don't read Lair of the White Worm. Don't read it.
Like, it's... The racism of Dracula is really funny. Because you realize that he's super progressive and also not progressive at all.
Maybe he just really likes the BBC.
Maybe, that's true. The first chapter of Dracula is the roughest.
Okay, yeah.
So if anybody's interested in reading Dracula, the first chapter is always the roughest because it's the most racist.
It's less racist from there.
It gets slightly less racist.
Yeah.
And then it like drops off and then they don't do racism for a while.
Still nothing compared to Lovecraft.
Still nothing compared to Lovecraft. What's the cultural impact of Dracula? Oh my god, it's the vampire novel of all time? Question mark?
Yeah.
It's been adapted countless times in countless different mediums. Of course, we have our favorite communist king, Bela Lugosi. No, sorry, he's not a communist, he's a socialist. How dare I mix up those ideologies? Those are different ideologies. How dare I? Cancel me. But our dear Bela Lugosi, this is not the first Dracula adaptation. Technically, the first Dracula adaptation was the original Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen the original Nosferatu?
Yeah. It's on the
Yay!
SpongeBob one.
Yay!
Nosferatu.
But, you know, we almost lost Nosferatu because of Florence Balcombe. And Florence Balcombe was Bram Stoker's widow. He died. He only had one kid. Shocker. Yo, whoa! Oh my god! The guy who was in love with Walt Whitman only had the one kid.
Was the father.
Walt Whitman was the father. So Florence Balcombe. It could have been Oscar. It could have been could have been Henry Irving. It could have been anyone.
Where's Murray?
It could have been one of you.
It could have been one of you. It could have been anyone. Listen, we are all the father of Bram Stoker's child. Anyways.
You're all Spartacus.
We're all Spartacus. Anyways, Nosferatu comes out. It is very much a Dracula adaptation. They did not get the rights. And Florence Balcom is like, I'm in charge of his estate. I'm suing you. And she sues them successfully because let's face it, it's so clearly just Dracula. And so they're like, okay, destroy all the copies. No more Nosferatu. Bye. But it did get saved. People did have collection copies, and Nosferatu survives to this day. And then we got that new adaptation, which I have feelings on. Big feelings. How much time do we have in this presentation?
15 minutes.
I have 13 minutes! Inspiration for Dracula works. Oh my god, introducing vampire lore, introduced. The neck biting, because Bram Stoker was freaked out by boobs. De-aging is feeding. Carmilla did not have that. Carmilla stays young because she's amazing. Turning into a wolf. There's a very funny, this is not very funny, this is actually really upsetting. But there's a very funny passage in Dracula where Lucy Westenra gets attacked by Dracula. But he, as you know, he can't come inside unless he's invited. But Dracula has the ability to talk to wolves.
Yeah.
And so what he does is a master plan, which is Lucy Westenra is sitting up in bed, terrified of what's going to happen, and suddenly a wolf throws itself through her window, gets up, walks out, and Dracula walks in.
The wolf invited him in. There's no wolves in England, so he had to steal it from
The zoo, yes, he stole it from the zoo. And like the people of Whitby Bay are like, what happened to our wolf? Where'd our wolf go? And then Lucy Westenra is sitting up in bed, all 19 years old of her, like, woo, 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 I'm writing my diary, woo, 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 I'm a metaphor for sexual assault, woo, woo, woo. And then a wolf comes flying through her window, just kind of stands up, walks back out. We never see the wolf again. and Dracula just comes in, and it's like really upsetting. But how is it queer? Guys, it's so clearly a manifestation of Bram Stoker's terror about being bisexual. The question of who is Dracula has plagued historians for decades, centuries, not centuries, 1 century. About 128 years, and I only know that because I was born the same day as Dracula. Ultimate flex.
You were wrong. You were
Thank you! Oh my god! I look great for 128. So, oh my god, imagine if I just fallen off the stage. That would have been hilarious. That would have ended my career. But who is Dracula is a question of who was Bram Stoker sleeping on? Was it Henry Irving? He was like foreboding boss who was dark and scary and mean and played a bunch of vampires and Mephistopheles and all of that good stuff. Was it Oscar Wilde, the manifestation of queerness itself? A noble coming in and unleashing his power over others? Was it Bram Stoker himself, who was terrified of what it meant that he was attracted to men and that he had writing proving that he was attracted to men? Was it Walt Whitman, who was big, scary, hairy, and obviously gay? Who's to say? Of course, Lucy and Mina, there's no way to, they love each other. And it's beautiful and amazing and incredible. And, you know, Mina actually does carry her love for Lucy throughout the entire novel. That's really powerful for me. Bram Stoker's own sexuality. What is the future of vampires, guys? Yes. Also, side note, there was supposed to be an entire slideshow about interview with a vampire, but I had to cut it because, you know, I listen, maybe next year. The pain, oh, the horror. But we're in a new wave of vampires because homophobia is back. Homophobia is back. It's decided to reinvent itself, but we're getting more vampires. Yay. So we're going back to satire. We're celebrating queerness. It is no longer something to be feared. So vampires are no longer something to be feared. We are openly queer. We are openly vampires. We are openly what we do in the shadows.
Yeah.
We're expanding the diversity in media of vampires. We're not just having white vampires. We're having vampires of color. It's really good. We're also acknowledging vampire myths that aren't just European. I'm sorry, I've just acknowledged European vampire myths. Involvement of other, yes. And then, oh no! Incoming political turmoil plays to a new way of playing with traumas. We're having legal threats, we're having social threats. We're increasingly in the public eye in both good ways and bad ways. Everybody in this room, I fear, knows that. But you know, we don't have to be afraid. We are our own community. We have survived in the night. We will survive again. Vampires will always make a return. Queerness will always make a return. You cannot kill us. But I love vampires. The vampire media pertaining queerness. It's a great allegory. Okay. This is Joshua and his friend whose name escapes me at the moment. There's a subreddit called r/Joshua and it's just this picture of that dog. Here are some recommendations. Oh my gosh, do you love Dracula? Would you like to read it on the daily in real time? Subscribe to Dracula Daily. Matt Kirkland is really nice. I did an interview with him and he was so nice to me. We were talking during the interview and I talked about the fact that I wasn't able to get a physical print of Dracula Daily because there's a physical version of it. And he sent it to me for free. So very sweet. I'm so happy. He was a little weirded out by my questions. Especially when I was like, and what is your opinion on the Icelandic versus Norwegian versus Swedish wars of the Dracula satire adaptation involving Charles Darwin? And he was like, what? What is your opinion? What translation do you believe in? There's 3 translations. Have you read any of them? And he was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's not an expert in vampires. He's an expert in graphic design, but you know, he's trying. Of course, Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass.
Yes.
We love vampires in a cool, new, fun way. Something in the Blood I brought up, which is the biography of Bram Stoker. It is the most comprehensive biography of Bram Stoker, although one Amazon review calls it a Oscar Wilde biography. Which makes sense. Powers of Darkness, which is the Icelandic translation I was talking about. So basically, the fun story about this, the short story, and I'm endorsing this version because it's the easiest one to get. There's currently a war about this, but only for 3 people. So Powers of Darkness, in 1901, they're like, we gotta translate Dracula into Icelandic. We're gonna release it serially, like we did in the Americas. Let's translate it, baby. And some guy's like, I'll translate it. His name is, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. I'm not gonna butcher it. I respect that too much.
Vidar,
yes. Says, I'm going to translate Dracula, don't worry, I'm going to serialize it and it's going to go great. He writes a completely new version of Dracula that involves Darwinism, a cult, and a new character he's made up entirely on his own. And so, nobody really thinks about this that hard because, only a couple of people were reading this Icelandic version of Dracula. And then, I think it was 2018, once again, going through the archives, they discovered this translation of Dracula, and they're like, oh my god, this is crazy, this needs to be preserved. So they did an English translation. And then the Norwegians were like, excuse me, we plagiarized first. This is a plagiarism of a plagiarism. And then it turns out it was a plagiarism of a plagiarism of a plagiarism. And so that is where the 3 translations come from. 4 minutes? Thank you, 4 minutes.
Thank you for.
I'm a good theater kid. Castlevania, love Castlevania.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's so good.
That's
It's
love
so
story.
good.
It was one episode.
And of course, Blackula. Shout out Blackula. Blackula, which actually has some very timely like commentary about like the African slave trade. Crazy. It also has a killer soundtrack. And of course, both the Nosferatus. I like one of them more than the other.
Do you have enough time to talk about those big feelings?
Do I have any time? How?
You got 2 minutes.
I have 3 minutes. So I feel like the original Nosferatu is kind of like a cultural icon, and we must like preserve it as like a part of film history because it's like German expressionism. And the new Nosferatu, it's good. It's good. It's trying kind of hard. I like the rats. I like the practical rats. I was a big fan of the fact that Willem Dafoe was friends with the rats. That was really important to me when I was reading articles about this. But, you know, it's good. It's a good film. It's not a good adaptation. Kind of like, it's good. I don't want to tell you. I also thoughts on the, like, interview of the vampire show, but like we don't have time. We have 2 minutes.
You got
The
2
original
minutes.
novel had asexual vampires, and now in the show they're not asexual anymore.
They're sexual.
Yes.
But here's the thing, they were freaky with the asexual.
They weren't freaky, because you know asexuality doesn't mean you don't have sex, but the acknowledgement of the asexuality of vampirism kind of got erased by the show. That really made me sad because I was really happy about the fact that they explored intimacy outside of sexuality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think lesbian vampires prefer scissors when they feed?
Oh my god,
Oh.
dude.
Next question.
Anyway.
So, well, have you ever gained the media of Vampire the Masquerade?
Oh my god.
The Vampire the Masquerade series that just recently came out, Dimension 20.
Yes!
I've been seeing things about it. I know I need to watch it.
I haven't watched the last episode. It's crazy. It's very good.
I'm not being a good little fledgling. I know.
Yeah, so like, there's, it's because the Paradox is a giant clusterfuck of just garbage. They either start to outsourcing all of their games to different studios. So I know recently there's, if people ever played that, what's it called?
The Bloodlines?
No, well, Bloodlines is arguably the greatest representation of it, but there's a Disco Elysium like CRPG that's coming out that is that seems very much more faithful to what the actual tabletop game is. And there is actually a television series called Kindred. If you are very interested in seeing a adaptation of the World of Darkness, it's not great, but you can see it on YouTube.
Ooh, I
I
will
would
check
give
it
it a shot.
out. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have opinions on Twilight?
Oh my god, I accidentally deleted it, but there was a slide about Twilight in this presentation, and in my 5 hours of sleep haze that I had this morning, I accidentally deleted it. You would think,
What's the queer in Twilight?
the queer in Twilight is that Alice Cohen is in love with Bella Swan. Yes. We all knew that, but that was as far as I was willing to go. I had a slide where I said, I'm not going to talk about Twilight. Don't ask me about Twilight. I don't know about Twilight. Yes, in the back.
Optional question. Either what's your favorite non-Western vampire, or where can we find more of you?
Where can you find more of me? Oh god, I don't exist on the internet. I exist only in your memory. I will exist only in your memory. I guess you'll see me probably on an article about my thoughts about vampirism. My favorite non-Western vampire is the jumping vampire, which is biased of me because that's my background. But I guess if you want more of me, I do technically have a page for my drag persona who's a vampire. Saint Stoker. Saint Stoker. Yeah, because I'm so original. Yeah, I'm the most original guy on the planet.
To be fair, Abraham Stoker made an OC who knew everything about vampires.
Yes, it's named Abraham Van Helsing, which is the embodiment of masculinity, even though in the German 2007 adaptation of Dracula that they did, that I have a copy of, he has a very homoerotic song with Dracula called Zu Ende. Yes, people know Zu Ende. I used to know the lyrics to it because I had no friends in high school.
Is
The
this it?
Serbian version is also really
Oh
good.
my god, that is me, yes. I believe that there's another panel. I don't want to interrupt you. Yes. Disperse.